Hey, what's up? It's your boy, Life Coach Jeff, coming to you with another episode of the Redirect, Regroup, Refocus podcast. How's everybody doing today? How was everybody's day? Because my day was pretty good today, but my weekend was even more eventful. Um, did a couple of things. I would like to say a number of things because I got an opportunity to speak at an event, which I was very blessed to be a part of a panel discussion where we talked about suicide prevention with teens. We also talked about the mental health struggles, not just with teenagers, but with adults as well. So it was a very good jam-packed weekend. We also went out to celebrate after that. I went out with my people, and then I went to a hip hop and R&B battle event that night. So as y'all can see, Life Coach Jeff does a number of things. We're just not limited to, helping people in the corporate world. Let me show up that flyer real quick, or just a business sense either. So let me show you what it is. Boom. This is where I was at, people. Zeta Nicole Girls presents Your Mind Matters Health and Wellness Fair. Shout out to Cynthia Spencer, Koya Thomas. You see myself in the middle. And the two young girls who we actually mentor on Saturdays got a chance to speak from the teenagers' perspective. So shout out to Miyani and Journey for their efforts because they did a great job. Two young ladies, first time ever speaking in front of people on a panel in that type of atmosphere and setting. So big shout out to them. So yes, as you can see, boom. Life Coach Jeff was just out here doing his thing, man. Just out here doing my thing. A couple pictures there. Boom. That's me with Jennifer, who came on and hosted the event. This is me talking to Ann. And big ups to Ann. Big shout out to Ann because she has been a follower for a while now. And I like to go ahead and give shout outs to the people that I know have been following me for quite some time. She showed up at the event. Shout out to Greg Gray, too, my man, my homie Greg Gray. He came to the event. He showed your boy some love. He got to listen a little bit. And he also contributed as well. Big ups to you, my man. I appreciate it. So really what I want to do was I want to kind of take the time today and just talk to y'all for a little bit. I want to talk to y'all for a little bit. And I did want to let you know, just like as the title says on that flyer, that your mental health matters. That's what I want to let you all know here today. Your mental health really does matter. Just to give some background a little bit more, or a little bit of a minor recap of how the event actually went. You would be surprised, people, about how many people are struggling with just the everyday challenges of life. And what I mean is that a lot of people don't want to admit those everyday struggles and challenges of life, but they deal with it. They deal with it. And I really noticed that a lot of people deal with perception of other people, how people think of themselves. And I always tell people all the time, a big part of knowing who you are is knowing how the things that you say cause others to react. You know what I mean? I talk to a lot of people, man, and people always tell me, Jeff, why are you telling people to change? No, I'm not telling people to change. What I'm telling you to do is take notice of the things that you say and how people react to them. So let's say this, use this for instance. I could be going to work every day and I could do the same action day in and day out, right? Day in and day out. And then what happens is this one person gives me a negative response every single time. Every single time. So then you're sitting back and trying to figure out, well, man, why is this person always giving me a negative response? Is it something that I did? What did I do to them? That's always the number one thing that comes to our mind, right? We always want to try to figure out what we did and how did we do something to make somebody respond negative to us. Now, it's good to have self-awareness. That's all I'm teaching here, people. It is great to have self-awareness. But what you want to make sure you're able to do is you want to make sure you reanalyze within that self-awareness. So like I said, what you want to do is you want to see how the words that you speak, how they affect other people. Now, if it's going to be in a negative way, analyze and see if it's just a problem with that person. You know what I mean? Because sometimes we have ways that we just talk to people, right? We do. We have ways that we just talk to our family, our friends. And the reason why we connect with these people is because we talk to them in a way that we're able to communicate to them with, right? For the most part. I'll say that for the most part, because usually what happens is you get around people who are like-minded like you, and then when you go through certain changes in your life and different transitions, what tends to happen is then people start noticing how you talk, noticing your speech. So let me put it to y'all like this. It's like, let's say you have an event or business, or you have something coming up that's very important to you, and that's the main thing you keep talking about. Sometimes people can say, oh, because you're working on yourself, you're working to advance to higher and better. People think that the tone that you speak in, or how you may talk about things, they may think you're being arrogant. No, that's not arrogance, people. What that is that a lot of the times we get excited about the things and the places that we going. Elevation. I know so many great people, y'all. So many great people that are doing wonderful things, great things. And it's so interesting how when you get around like-minded people who are actually trying to elevate themselves, you're no longer bragging. You're no longer talking mess. You're no longer doing none of that. The perception is that, okay, now I'm in a circle of winners. Now I'm in a circle of people who are thinking like-minded like me. Now, we don't have to just pertain this to business. We could pertain this to everyday life with your friends. Right? I know people who I help, they go ahead and they start saying, man, I need to change for the better. I need to do more for me. And normally what happens is when people want to change for the better, friends drop off, people drop off. And that's a very hard thing for us to deal with over time. You know what I mean? A lot of times what tends to happen is we have a fear of that. You know what I mean? We have a fear of not wanting to appease people at times because we feel that if we do appease, what's going to happen? If we appease, we're going to end up losing somebody. And let's be real. We don't want to lose the closest people to us ever. We don't ever want to lose the closest people to us. You know what I mean? We always say, all right, man, we have some associates, some people we talk to every now and then, right? And we just say, okay, I can let those people go. You know what I mean? That's not a bit of a struggle. But the ones that we love, right? The ones that we love, the ones that we really pay attention to, the people that we really deem on that totem pole we hold in high self-esteem. That's what I'm trying to say. Sorry, people. I'm trying to get my words right. I'm trying to connect a monitor so I can look into the camera just a little bit better. Okay, there we go. We are connected. We're gonna get that together. But yes, people, we tend to just appease people with our words a lot of times, and sometimes we have a hard time trying to be the realest, best version of ourselves, right? And that's something that I encountered with being at this health fair. That's something I encountered heavy with being at this health fair. People having some issues, you know what I mean? Just about some perception and how other people do things in the world. It was so great. I had a parent. She said, well, how do you deal with being overprotective or doing things for your child and knowing that you actually set them up for later on in life? And I gave one of the most realist responses I could give, right? I gave one of the most realist responses I can give. And that real response was, you got to remember that a lot of times there are some things that parents just do as parents. It seems overprotective. You know what I mean? Especially to a child. I feel like when I was younger, my grandparents and my parents, my mom, who raised me, was overprotective in certain things, in certain aspects. But that wasn't really it, right? What she was doing was she was keeping me away from certain things, just not shielding me, not sheltering me, right? But just trying to make sure that I was around certain people that would keep me on the right track in life. You know what I mean? So I told her a lot of times, man, you just being a parent. You just have to do those things. A lot of times those things just come along with being a parent. There's no book on how. I always tell people this. There's no book on marriage and parenting. There is no book on marriage and parenting. So I feel that when everybody has a child, they're doing it at the seat of their pants. Like, you raise the first one, you know what I mean? It gives you a little bit of insight on what to do, especially with your first child. No one knows what to do with the first child. Everybody's learning. Second child comes along, you use some of the same tactics, but you have to remember too, you're still dealing with a totally different personality. You know what I mean? And these are things that I hear from other people who raise children. These aren't things that I have conjured up because to let y'all know, I don't have any kids at all. But this is just what I hear. And like I said, when I gave her that answer, it was amazing because another parent that was sitting off to the side was like, you know what, I'm glad you said that because I'm raising a young man. And with her raising that young man as a single parent, she wanted to know if she was actually doing something right. So with the words that I expressed and I gave to her, that I gave to the other parent, that gave her reassurance that she was also on the right track. Y'all, when we in this thing called life, you know what I mean? When we're in this thing called life, there's a right way and a wrong way to do things, but a lot of stuff is kind of like in the middle, and we consider that to be normal, right? We consider that to be normal. I just want to tell everybody, just do the best that you can. You know what I mean? Do the best that you can. Always strive to put your best foot forward, because if you put your best foot forward, no one can take that away from you. Now, people may talk about you. They may ridicule you. They might say something about you. They say what you could have done better. But you always have to remember that they are not in your shoes, right? These people are not in your shoes. So you shouldn't subject yourself, right, to these people that always want to have something to say about how you're moving or how you're dealing with certain and particular situations, right? So that's what you have to pay attention to. You know what I mean? Pay attention just to you and yourself alone, you know, and it's okay to do a deep dive within. This is also what I said at the conference, you all. It is okay to do a deep dive within. A lot of us are scared to do deep dives because we don't know what we're going to uncover, right? When we don't know what we're going to uncover, it's usually the ugly that comes out. Let's be real, people. It's usually the ugly that comes out because we all know the good about us already. We all know those good and positive attributes about us. Or are some of us even self-sabotaging? So that way we're keeping ourselves away from our fullest potential. We have to be willing to accept that part too. You know, so like I said, even those good aspects can also become something ugly. You know what I mean? Because a lot of times we don't want to accept good. Sometimes we think good is too good to be true. That's a whole topic of discussion. Sometimes we think good is too good to be true. But when we're doing a deep dive, we just have to remember these are going to be the things that we encounter. These are going to be the things that we need to unearth and discover about ourselves. You know what I mean? And with doing a deep dive, I always tell people, you know what I mean? It's okay to ask yourself questions. Okay. Now, some people might be like, oh, well, I'm talking to myself. You're not talking to yourself. We all have an internal voice inside of our mind that we always have to use for reasoning, right? We have to use that for reasoning. So it's okay to ask yourself some questions. It's okay to ask yourself, well, am I right about this? Am I wrong about this? It's okay for you to challenge you. It is okay for you to challenge you. And I feel that a lot of times as people, we don't do that enough. And it's amazing because when we mentor our girls on Saturdays, that's what we do. We challenge them to challenge themselves. Before they make an action, think about the action before they do it. Ask themselves after a bad outcome, what could I have done better? Now, these girls, they're anywhere from the ages of 9 all the way up to 17, 18. And we'll take girls in all the way up to 21. We'll let you be in the program all the way to 21. It's just interesting. It is something how these young girls have an ability to listen. Shoot, they listen a lot of times, honestly, better than the adults sometimes. I deal with a lot of stubborn adults because I want to tell y'all this, it doesn't take long for y'all to be set in y'all ways. Ooh-wee. It don't take long for people to be set in their ways, especially a stubborn person. Oh, yeah. Stubborn person. Shoot, it's stubborn people in their 20s and 30s. I'm 33, y'all. 33. And it's some people right now who I know who are just set in their ways at my age and don't want to change nan one bit. You know, 30, 40 years is a while to think one way and to have somebody come in and say, hey, there's another way you can think. That's very hard for people to accept. But shout out to Cynthia Spencer. She was also sitting on the panel. And with Cynthia Spencer, she's a social worker. And she said the same thing. And we all agree with her. She said a little extra on it too. And she said, you have to want the change, people. You got to want the change. You know, she said even people sit in front of her and they tell her, well, I want something different. Well, the thing is, you have to want different. If your better is different, that is what we have to strive for each and every day of our lives. And if that's something that you don't want, well, you have to ask yourself, what are you really looking for then? Last time I checked, peace is better. Understanding is better. Having a stronger backbone for yourself to get through certain situations, to have better mental toughness, that's better. You know, whenever we talk about growth, people, okay, whenever we talk about growth, that should never be diminished to just one thing. You have to remember, we are multi-dimensional people, multifaceted people. What I mean is that there are so many angles, so many sides to us, so many different things that can be pulled out of us. A lot of times we just haven't wanted to challenge ourselves to get to that point, or we're not around people who challenge us as well. There's a good art form to people that challenge you. I have some people in my life that challenge me now. You know, my wife included. My wife does challenge me on certain things, which is good, So for the men out there listening, I'm not saying that your wife has to argue with you. What I'm saying is healthy challenging is good. Something healthy to stimulate your mind and to make you think. You know, even if you have a friend that can help you do that, it's great to keep a few friends like that around. I'm telling you, you need people in your life that are going to tell you wrong too. As much as people don't want to hear that, you need people in your life to tell you that you are wrong at times. You know, I get it. We always think we right about anything. I will say one thing. Mostly people are stubborn because they don't want nobody telling them something, and they feel like they should learn on their own. Okay. And I feel that way at times too. I tell my wife this all the time. I say, babe, I get what you're saying, but sometimes I'm a learner. I just need to see it. You know what I mean? Somebody can tell me something all day, but I need to experience it and I need to see it for myself. And I will tell you this too. There's a great learning in just watching other people. A great learning in just watching people. And I know some people that just sit down, go to the park or go somewhere and just watch people. I don't mean that type of watching people. What I mean is by watching people who have gone through similar experiences as you and learning from that. So to expound upon that a little bit more, there are a lot of situations that I've dodged a bullet with because I've seen other people go through it. And I told myself, nah, baby, not today. Your boy Jeff ain't about to go through all that mess. Me personally, people, I just don't have the time. So if I can take something as a learning experience, watch somebody else do it, I guess you could say I'm watching them go through the fire. You know what I mean? And there's no harm in that because they put themselves in the fire. Now they got to put it out, right? Now they got to douse themselves out with some water, stop, drop, and roll. It's up to them to put that fire out. You know what I mean? But I've learned a lot just by watching people specifically in certain situations. This can be people being angry after an argument, right? And I get it. We're all human. We all do certain things too. But it does teach you how to react. It does teach you what to say and what not to say. You know what I mean? And doing that deep dive within yourself, like we talked about earlier, with doing that deep dive within yourself, looking at something like that should make you question if you're that person. You know, it's okay to do that. Ask yourself, do I get too angry at times? Ask yourself, am I an overthinker? Ask yourself, do I get upset over the small things? Like, for instance, I'm going to tell you literally what just happened to me before we started doing the podcast. I'm going to share this with y'all. Now, here I am getting ready for everything. Now, this is something small to y'all, but big to me. I run this streaming through a thing called a Camlink 4K. Camlink 4K. It's because my computer doesn't have a USB hub, not a USB hub. It doesn't have an HDMI port to hook up into directly from the camera to here. But guess what? That Camlink went out on me. Now, this is the only mechanism that I have in order to stream this show. Y'all, if I use my MacBook camera, it's going to be trash. If I use my MacBook, y'all, it ain't going to be the same. It's just not going to be the same quality. It just won't be. I guarantee you. And then I have to look down at the computer. I don't want to do that. I'd rather just go ahead and produce everything when it's all set up. When I get ready to say bye, click that outro, boom, bada bam, done. But y'all know a brother was on edge for a good 20 minutes, 30 minutes. I mean, right down to the wire. Because I have even had to upload the pictures that I did at the beginning of this too. So I knew how I wanted to structure the show, but sometimes what happens is things just do not go as planned. So as people, what do we have to learn how to do? We have to learn how to be adaptable in these situations. Oh, let's just rewind it back. We'll go. And I know y'all liked it, didn't you? You have to learn how to be adaptable to situations when they don't go your way. So when something you want to go right, when that bad boy start to steer left, how are you going to react to it? You know? Are you going to tell yourself there's always light at the end of the tunnel? I told them on Saturday, I don't like that saying. Because there's light all around you, even in darkness. Even in darkness, did you know that your eyes can adjust to see in the dark? Light somewhere, people. You just have to be willing to find that light and adjust to when that darkness comes upon you. And I know I'm not saying this for every situation, because I know there are hard situations out there for people. I'm not saying that it's just going to be like, boom, just like that. I'm not saying it's supposed to be that way. But what I'm saying is for everybody who pulled themselves out of the trenches, they had to go right through it. I want to tell you, people, don't be scared to go through whatever situation that it is that you have going on. You can't be scared of it. Because the thing is, the more that you're scared of that situation, the more that you'll continue to pull back and you'll pull away from it. You will. I guarantee you. Because the situation is going to do one of two things. If you go through it, it's going to make you stronger, or it's going to make you even more afraid to go through it. And you'll never have any movement if you don't go through a negative situation or bad one. Because what I mean by going through it to people is just accepting that it's there. A lot of times we have a bad habit of not wanting to accept things that are in our lives. We want to try to get rid of them, right? We want to try to get rid of it. Especially when it comes to our mental health. We want to try to get rid of certain traumas, certain things. We can't get rid of the fact that it happened, but what do we have to do? We have to somehow find a way to get over it. That's all it is. Over it, never under it. Always stay above ground with it. You know, don't bury it. But that's the only way you're going to go through it too. You have to be willing to see whatever obstacle that you see right in front of you, and you have to face that bad boy head on. I'm telling you. Because once you face it head on, it will do you a world of great. Have y'all ever gone through anything, right? Have y'all ever gone through anything and really just sat down and really took a deep breath? Okay? Really. I want to tell y'all that. Have y'all ever just sat down and just said, okay, this is what's ahead of me. I'm going to try to do A, da, 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 da. I'm going to try to do A, B, C, X, Y, and Z to get through it. Have you ever just sat down and when the times got rough, have you ever just sat down and took that deep breath, that real deep breath, and really just hop back into things? Thank you, Symphony. Thank you, girl. I'm glad you listening. I'm glad you watching out here. I appreciate that. Boom, there it is. Symphony said, great episode. She was watching on, what is that, LinkedIn, I believe? Yeah, LinkedIn. Yeah. We just out here trying to give some people some good words out here today. Good words out here today. I appreciate you for listening, yo. And, you know, we gotta get to a point. We have to get to a point within ourselves where we're okay with things. I'm not saying you don't have to get upset. I'm not saying you don't have to get mad. I'm not saying you don't have to get angry. That's not what I'm saying at all. But somewhere down the line, we have to get into an area and a space where we finally feel comfortable with situations when they arise. either within us, right? Because situations can arise within us too. This can be within our thought process, how we perceive something, right? We don't want things to manifest and get stirred within us. So what we should do is we should have better control of the things that we process within, so that way externally we start to have a greater outlook on everything. Remember, everything starts here first. I'm pointing right here, inward. Everything starts inward first. And it's either going to do, it's coming out two places. It's coming out through your mouth or your hands. And 9 times out of 10, because people like to talk crazy, it's always coming out your mouth. It's always going to come out your mouth. So you have to really protect what you're saying. You really have to take time to actually really pay attention to the words that you speak and how you treat other people. Yo, a lot of these principles that I just get from the Bible, yo, just basic biblical principles. I'm not saying you got to believe in God, but I'm going to let you know where my stuff comes from. My help comes from the Lord. Okay. Like I say, you ain't got to follow God, but I'm just letting y'all know that's what I do. That's how I maintain my own type of peace. You know, I often think at times, where would I be if I didn't have anything to help with my peace? I don't know. I think this is kind of wild, but I think probably without my belief system, I probably would be a more of a cold-hearted person. I probably would be an individual, and I'm just being honest with y'all. I probably would be an individual that I place accountability on people already. I'm just able to teach it more now because of what I've been through. You know what I mean? My instances, what I've seen other people go through, the stories that I have and the instances that I've seen other people go through accountability and share it with me. You know, I can teach it. But I believe if I didn't have a system or a way to keep peace, I would be the most judgmental person in the world. I ain't even going to hold you. You know, I always tell people, never judge people on perception. Always look at what you see. If you see it in front of you, that is the truth. See, I don't have time. Me personally, I don't have time for perceptions. I don't have time to take in what could be a fallacy of a person. That I don't have time for. But what I do have time for is to ask a question. What do you mean by that? What I do have time is I have time to understand somebody. So that understanding comes from only me asking the question to get something deeper, right? To get deeper information, so I know what somebody's dealing with. So I know if somebody comes to me and has an issue or situation, right? I know what it is. Now they could bold-faced lie to me. I don't care, but at least I did my part trying to figure it out. You owe yourself to do that for your inner peace and your outer peace. You owe it to yourself. It's like my boy said, you owe you, right? Eric Thomas, you owe you. You owe it to yourself to gain your internal peace so it can affect your external surroundings around you. You owe it to yourself, y'all. But all right, y'all, usually y'all know how I go, man. When I'm on for 30 minutes, I like to keep it short. You know what I mean? When I'm on by myself, I like to go ahead, keep it short for everybody because I get it. Retention kind of is short for people nowadays. So y'all like good information. So I hope and I pray I gave y'all some good information. I thank everybody for tuning in and listening and paying attention to the Redirect, Regroup, Refocus podcast. Jesus, I'm tongue-tied. The Redirect, Regroup, Refocus podcast, y'all. Where it's me, your boy, Life Coach Jeff, is your host. And remember, Redirect, Regroup, Refocus. And I love y'all so very much. Peace out, everybody.